The BMR Super Saloons were combined with the CMMCS TinTop category for their 2 races at Cadwell Park towards the end of July 2021. Qualifying also saw them share the track with the Classic Challenge, and this mix worked really well. But it was Rod Birley taking pole once again, this time leaving it till the very last lap of the session. This was also the first time Rod had raced at Cadwell since 1992, and back then he was racing a Ford Angular. Second on this modern grid would be Paul Watson in his BMW, followed by the late invitation Mark Hadfield in his rapid Ford Puma. Ken Angell was up next and the leading TinTop runner, followed by Gideon September in his Honda Civic. And series sponsor Martyn Scott took his BMW to the 6th fastest time, never having driven the Cadwell Park circuit before. The next up was Richard Sanders in his Ford Fiesta, Jack Whitehead in his BMW, and yours truly at the back of the grid. And on to race number 1. The rolling start saw the drop of the Union flag as the field sped off into Coppice for the first time. Rod Birley had held the lead, but Watson was right on his tail and closed up going over the mountain. But coming out of Barn Corner, Birley appeared on his own, and Watson trickled into the pit lane. Inadvertently, Paul had knocked off his ignition switch, and once he'd come to the pit lane to rectify the issue, he'd come out at the back and speed away to try and close down all of the cars in front. So as Rod cruised away out front, the focus was then moved to the battle for second position. Ken Angell had moved up into second spot on the start in his Class T1 TinTop, and then Scott and September had squeezed past Hadfield. But saying that, all 4 of them were lapping very closely in terms of lap times, and it was great to see them all battling out on track. 4 very different cars. Great to see them all fighting over second place on the road. Meanwhile, Watson was putting in some impressive lap times. His fastest lap in this first race was actually 2 seconds faster than Rod's, so confidence going into the second one of the day. But this pace allowed him to catch up to the back of the pack, and by lap number 6 and then 7 he squeezed past both Hadfield and September, and then looked to get past Scott and Angell, and duly did so. A fantastic comeback drive from Paul after the unfortunate issue which saw him come into the pit lane on lap number 1. So Birley would win by 26 seconds, but a fantastic comeback drive from Watson saw him take second place on the road. Ken Angell would finish third place and the top TinTop in race number 1, with Scott finishing in a fantastic 4th position. Then the battle for 5th place, Hadfield versus September, and Hadfield just got Gideon on the line to finish 5th on the final lap of the race. And then everyone's focus looked towards the battle between Richard Sanders and Jack Whitehead, who had entertained us throughout the whole race. This time Richard put in a fantastic drive to put in some solid laps throughout and keep ahead of Jack in his Super Saloon BMW. Yours truly would complete the finishers, and even though there was a small grid, the crowd was certainly entertained by the multitude of battles that we saw throughout this first race of the day. After the first race, we spoke to Paul Watson in his BMW. He won the Class B category and also put on a spectacular show to come through the field after the eventful lap 1.
Towards the end of the first lap, the car cut out, but I managed to get into the pits, get it restarted, and then chased. Well, by that time I was at the back of the grid and managed to chase everyone down and get back to second.
So we talked about your fastest lap,
faster
than anyone in that first race. So
yep.
What are you seeing for the second one? Bit of a closer battle?
Yeah, hopefully we won't have the same issues I have in the first race. So yeah, hopefully I can take it to Rod and make it an exciting race.
And on to race number 2. As we mentioned in the first race, Watson had actually got the faster lap, which put an interesting dynamic on this second race of the day. Could he keep the pressure on Birley and possibly take the win overall? The flag would drop once again and Rod would take the lead early on with Watson hot on his tail. Up front they were putting in some spectacular lap times, and as the race went on, both Rod and Paul were putting in quicker and quicker laps as the two challenged each other for the lead and overall win. There was an interesting dynamic between these leading 2 cars. The Ford Escort seemed to have a little bit more at the end of the straights, but also the BMW seemed to be a bit more agile through the twisty sections. Altogether, they were separated by hardly anything. But as the race went on, Rod's Escort would eke out a small lead lap after lap, but it wasn't enough to pull away like he had done in the first. Some further great battles through the field. Once again, as we saw in the first race, Ken Angell and Martyn Scott put on a spectacular show in their BMWs around Cadwell Park, the two going side by side on multiple occasions in their second race, just as they had done in the first. But the checkered flag would come out quicker than we expected, the battles keeping the crowd entertained. This time Rod would win, but only by 2 seconds over Paul Watson. And as we mentioned, the battle for third place was quite intense. Angell versus Scott for the whole race. It was great to see for everyone that managed to join us at the track. But on the last lap of the race, Scott made a bold move around the outside of Chris Curve. The BMWs had gone side by side through the gooseneck, which gave Martyn the inside for Mansfield. And after a long battle, Angell finally had to give up his third position overall to Scott on the last lap of the race. Ken had still won the TinTops section, but another classy drive from Hadfield in his Ford Puma saw him finish not far behind the two BMWs at the checkered flag. Gideon September was next up in 6th position, then was Whitehead just ahead of Sanders, and once again yours truly finishing up the runners. You haven't raced at Cadwell for quite a few years, you've said. How was it coming back?
29 years to be precise, yep. Took a little while to get used to it again, but yeah, it's quite a challenging circuit. Since I was last here, I have actually raced at a Nürburgring, and they call this place the mini Nürburgring. So yeah, it's the first time we've ever brought the Escort here, because the last time I drove here I had a Ford Anglia, and yeah, it was quite a while ago. But yeah, and it's a fast but tricky circuit. You don't want to make a mistake here because there's not a lot of runoff. But yeah, second race really enjoyed. You know, Paul Watson really gave me a good run for his money, and yeah, it was exciting, especially coming over the mountain, got a bit of air.
I was saying, in a car like this, what are the corners that really get you?
Well, obviously, you come up over the mountain, you go through those sweeping corners. It's fine until you get to the last one, which is a bit nadgery, and then going down. The one I really like is where you come over the start-finish line, and then you go gradually up the hill there, and that series of corners there, the car really comes into its own. You know, we're flat in 5th gear through the first part, just dropped down to 4th, and then back into 6th down the Park Straight. And then you've got the corners out the back, which again, very much a one line, but if you keep the power on, it's quite rewarding. But yeah, it's quite a physical circuit, so you know you've done it.
Cadwell Park, second race, how did it go?
Yeah, it was good. Not as good as first race. Yeah, I got beat in the end by the BMW I was racing with, but it's a good race. Yeah, I had a good time, and it's just a good circuit, isn't it? It's just such a good fun circuit. All the twisty bits, the changes in all the ups and downs. It's just a brilliant circuit. So yeah, good fun.
And how about this car on the track? What parts of the circuit you find in the limit or getting close?
Well, because it's twisty and turny here, it's actually quite good. There are a couple of long straights, but I actually found, yeah, being a smaller, nimble car was actually quite helpful, really. But yeah, you do get swallowed up a bit on the straights, but luckily there's only a couple.
So, not much of a gap until the next race of the season. The Super Saloons and TinTops will be back in action at Brands Hatch, their spiritual home, on the August 7th-8th weekend. Whilst all three series will go to the Silverstone National Circuit on August 21st. And the good news is that there is an additional event at the end of the season. All three series will appear at Brands Hatch on November 14th. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for tuning in to this video, and we'll see you very shortly.